Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, the live stream, the podcast. Ooh, and the Portugal Club still having trouble, it would seem, streaming to X. We're having trouble streaming to X, in brackets Twitter. This may be an issue on X's end. There are a lot of issues on X's end, aren't there? It would appear. What a place that has been created over there. Tell you what, then, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of X and let's go out on 2 Facebook channels this morning. How you doing? Sorry I'm late. Technical challenge du jour, as my ring light wasn't functioning this morning, but I think it's fair to say I have a beautifully lit ring now. It decided it's funny, isn't it? With electronic things, you're thinking, okay, that's a binary thing, that's going to be working, or it's not going to be working. This appears to be a little bit patchy, the old ancient ring light. I think it's about 5 years old now, so fair play. Maybe it's on its last legs. A lot of these things are not built to last these days. Unlike us, built to last. Gumpers built to last. Good morning to you, Jackie. Thanks for joining us last night. Enjoyed the show with Tudu Ben Austin last night. And John Austin was our guest. Raphael Chang, the dynamo from the agency, was with us. And he showed us a beautiful property, only 1.75 million over Cascais Way. And John Wood began to tell us about his affordable housing project here in Portugal. He's looking for land to build it on and a willing and cooperative municipality camera. Let's see if we can help him do that. It's a great idea. We'll find out more about it. And of course, his renovation and what's the other word that he uses? Let me just bring up his Valwood site. If you're trying to find a good builder here in Portugal, if all the good ones are fully booked for the next 10 years, and you're a bit doubtful about the guy who can turn up tomorrow and wants to be paid in cash and then needs immediately to go and buy some parts, Valwood might be for you. That's remodeling and renovation. That's the work that John does, as well as his I was going to call it a blue sky project. Let's not put it too far into the distance or make it too fantastical. Let's help him make it a reality. It's a great idea. He'll tell us more about that when he joins us at 8:20 this morning. He's our 8:20 guest, and we've got, talking of building, we've got Mel joining us, building a future. And she was like yesterday, prices of metal going up, something's happening. I'm going to put her on the spot and ask her exactly what she thinks is happening. I think we've all got our suspicions, excuse me. Turbulent times, often reflected in the price of precious metals. She might dwell on that. We might dwell on that. And what's this? Never mind. I was watching an old show. That's always good fun, isn't it? Exactly how old was the show you were watching, Matty? Yeah, Mel, another topic, maybe today, maybe another time. The perceived differences in moving to a foreign country as a single person versus moving as a couple. I think the differences are huge. I think it's good to have a bit of backup. Although sometimes it's easy. What's the saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Maybe there's something of that in that particular conversation on the relative merits of moving to Portugal singly or as a couple. Matty, thank you for joining us and finding the right show this morning. Bom dia, alegria a todos. Good work. We should give out medals for such brilliant behaviour. Bom dia, alegria a todos. E feliz terça-feira. Mike's in as well. Good morning, Mike. Bom dia, everyone. I hope those sore heads from the weekend are finally clear and recovered. Yes, it was one from last night with Ben. Yes, that was the show I was talking about before I interrupted myself, that Jackie joined us on. And Adrian might be here this morning. I thought it was today's live show. Lol. No, it's my bad as well. I thought I'd scheduled the show. Apparently not. I had not. So I had to hastily do that, as well as nurse my somewhat wonky ring light this morning, which is shining brightly. Makes it look like I've got stubble, funnily enough. Actually, I have. Might be growing the beard back for the winter, for a bit of thermal mass on the face, a bit of face fungus. Right, let's go to the Portugal Club, shall we? And our continuing Portuguese citizenship test, a slightly easier one this morning. We asked you yesterday, didn't we? And you might want a bit of time to think about this. And it'll give me a bit of time to type in the new question. What is the name? The question yesterday was, what is the name of the traditional Portuguese embroidered lace? Was it Renda da Bilros, Bordado Madeira, or Ponto Alto? I believe it was A, and I think we might need to jump into that and find out a little bit more. But Portuguese. There's at times like these when I wish my typing was a little bit faster. Portuguese citizenship, and then I get flustered and make mistakes, and then I have to go back and type the whole thing again. Anyway, I think I've done it this morning. Portuguese citizenship test. This will be question 36, friends. Which city hosted the University of Portugal? One of the oldest in Europe. You can tell that's an AI generated question. Which city hosted? In which Portuguese city was the thought to be the oldest in Europe was the university built? Let's put that a slightly different way as I say it to you this morning. Was it A, Lisbon, as you might expect? It's a fair guess. Was it B, Coimbra? And if you have ever been to Coimbra with Philomena, I think that will have been the answer to this will be quite obvious to you. Or was it C, Porto? All contenders for that of having the oldest, one of the oldest, or the oldest. I think there is a little bit of contention about that, as there often is with these superlative claims to do with any country or city. But I'm happy to give it to this city of either Lisbon, Coimbra, or Porto, one of the oldest in Europe. Let's go with that. Which Portuguese city is it? Lisbon, Coimbra, or Porto? So just popping that onto the Portugal Club now, and the question itself, the link to it, into the chat as well. How are you doing this morning? What's going on? Well done to you, Gina. That's a good guess. Nice to see you here this morning. How are you? What's going on with you? Okay. It's a sleepless night in New York. Wow. It's a sleepless night in New York. I get to watch you live. Cheers. Hi, Gina. How's it going? Do let me know. And there's the link for the question there in the chat. Always interesting things happening from time to time over on the YouTube channel. A couple of comments. I can play my mailbag vingle, can I not, for such an occasion? Let me just give that a squeeze this morning. Yeah, Munson's mailbag then over at YouTube. 3,333 subscribers, which is great. Thank you very much, everybody who's done that. Analytics are looking pretty good, by the way, while we're over there. In the last 28 days, I can tell you we've had nearly 55,000 views, which is pretty respectable, isn't it? And steady growth then. Thanks, everybody, on the watch time. Want to push these numbers up if possible. A nice little spike this morning. We had, before we even started the show this morning, over 100 people just viewing the channel, watching things over there. And as you can imagine, one of the big clicks at the moment is about the burqa being banned. Also, though, to be fair, Revolut bringing the IBAN and MBWay features to their bank accounts in Portugal, and a Portuguese citizenship test question as well. The one about bullfighting, I guess, probably because bullfighting is in the title. Bit of a push button issue, that, isn't it? However, I went over to the YouTube channel to tell you about a new feature that I'm not entirely happy about, although it will save busy YouTubers some time. A couple of things then. The first one that's got my attention, what do you make of this? This is pole dancing Paddy. I'm guessing an Irish person with an interesting hobby or social life. In 2003, I fully intended to relocate to Portugal. I had several $1 million to shelter. Nice problem to have, and retire on arriving in Lisbon. I wanted to fly to the Algarve. That was my first shock. No signs. A guy wearing an overcoat behind the desk in an unlit, unmarked desk had me take a number and wait. You got to get used to that. I suppose, yeah, workers wearing overcoats and being asked to take a number. It sounds like you're a bit affronted because you had several $1 million, but maybe they weren't to know that. Maybe the guy in the overcoat had several $1 million as well. And wait, eventually, I got to the Algarve several hours later. I don't understand that. I mean, how is it that you go and ask someone in an overcoat in an unlit, unmarked desk how to get to the Algarve? But I do get it. Your experience of Portugal has not been good up to this point. I got to the Algarve several hours later, 100 kilometers away or so. Next day, I visited a lawyer's office to start the process. The receptionist told me, send an email for an appointment while I was in their office. That just blew my mind. Mind blown. Quickly decided, I don't care about a tax advantage or nice climate. Shove it. It's far too third world and beyond comprehension how anybody can be strange in today's world. Went to Spain next day. I wonder how that ended up and if you were treated any better in Spain, pole dancing Paddy. Genuinely interested in that. It sounds like you didn't. Let me put it this way: your expectations were not met. I think if you've got several $1 million to shelter, you might be able to afford to get some decent and professional help. There are many great people helping others move to Portugal. Doesn't sound like you found them. It might have been useful to spend some of those millions earlier on in the process, perhaps. Unless I guess maybe you're trying to shelter all of them, not spend any money on your process here. Always good to get out to seek out professional help. That's why we're talking to John Wood this morning when it comes to the building part. Although we may have lost pole dancing Paddy, everybody. You can help me choose answers here over at the YouTube channel this morning. As I'll share this with you on the screen. A little look behind the scenes on the community page, basically, which is if you go into YouTube Studio, taking you behind the scenes now, a behind the scenes video over on YouTube. And here's a little bit more sort of negative press in Munson's mailbag this morning. For some reason, I have no chat today. You do now, Matty. That's sorted. A little bit of nice upbeat news from Steve Green 928. I can understand how that happens. Steve Green, not the most esoteric or unpopular name. So Steve Green, on this occasion, 928. My wife and I have been wanting to move to Portugal for 4 years. Our appointment with VFS Global is Thursday, and we have signed our lease for an apartment in Tavira. Good work on that, Steve. Lots of best wishes to you, Mr. and Mrs. Green, on your move to Portugal. And good luck with that VFS appointment. And what you might notice if you're seeing the screen now is AI steps in to help me reply. On the one hand, I'm a bit offended. On the other, I'm thinking, well, that could save a bit of time. And what I tend to do with this is let AI begin the conversation and then own it myself with a little bit of a personal touch. Who doesn't like a personal touch first thing in the morning? Another one here. Here is your typical sales pitch done by a Portuguese person. That's actually, it wasn't on this occasion MWLM or MWL Mobile 15 hours ago. Do you know what I also like to do? When people who give me any stick or negativity, I subscribe to their channel. And generally speaking, I see that a lot of the folks who are critical don't make any comment of their own. And they don't have any subscribers either. So I give them a little bit of a support and encouragement. So this was the Portuguese. I actually think he was being negative, not like him. Don't move to Portugal for the food, Mediterranean diet. MWL Mobile jumps in. Here's your typical sales pitch done by a Portuguese person. He's not Portuguese, and it's looking like he never will be, the way he's moaning about citizenship at the moment. We have the best weather, the best food, the best football, the best people, the best drivers, the best country. Basically the best and number one in everything. I really don't get that. I mean, I get that Portuguese people are very proud of those things, not necessarily the driving. I've never heard a Portuguese person saying we're the best drivers. They have a unique style on the road, don't get me wrong. But yeah, football, proud of the football, proud of the weather. Weather's definitely better than where I came from. I love the food. Some people don't. Someone admitted openly and in Portuguese company that they didn't like the food last Thursday night. So I tried to help with that. Best country. I think it's great that Portuguese are proud of their country. But I don't often hear them saying we are basically the best and number one and everything. This sounds like another butthurt person, doesn't it? Who had a bad experience and has decided to, I don't know, I guess it's a doubling down thing. And I've written about this in the Portugal Resident this week. Sometimes we need to double down, don't we, to justify our emotional reaction and then afterwards find some evidence. This is some scantily and hastily gathered evidence. You better echo that narrative or else. That sounds more like North Korea to me, or even America to some extent. And the AI responses are, would you like to help me choose this morning? Would you like to help me reply to this correspondent? Not a sales pitch, my friend, is the friendly suggestion from AI over on YouTube. Get used to this, folks. This is the way ahead. We are, whether we like it or not, allowing ourselves to be evolved. Let me call it evolved rather than use something negative. You can put the spin on it for yourself, whether you think it's positive or negative. But we are being evolved, no question about that. Possible replies then generated by AI on my YouTube channel. Help me choose the response this morning. Not a sales pitch, my friend, more like a take it or leave it kind of vibe. That's friendly but firm, isn't it? And sounds like you've heard that one before. What's your take on it? Inviting engagement, pushing up the algorithm proposition prospects there. I quite like that one. I don't feel like responding at all. But anyway, you tell me which of those. Let's go to a few comments before we chat with John Wood. And let me put his so you can have a little bit of a foreplay before the guest comes on this morning. Let me put into the chat John's website link, valwood.pt. He's got a Portuguese domain there, good man. And your comments then. A bon dia from Mel. We'll see Mel in about 20 minutes' time. Raji, hello, lovely to see you. Bon dia from the Algarve. That's really great for views. It's not too bad, is it, Gina? Good to see you. And I have a bank account. He can donate a couple of 100,000 K for my ruin renovation if he wants to get rid of those. Yeah, sheltering your millions is such a great euphemism, isn't it? It sounds, it's got tax evasion written all over it, isn't it? Several millions to spare. He could buy the UK stuff. A reduced rate. I'm very fair on the price. You could buy Jackie. Is that what you're saying? But UK at a reduced price. I meant, come on, get it sorted out here, Jackie. What are you doing? Bloody text thing is playing up. Oh, yeah, it's a tech challenging morning for you and me both, Jackie. Yeah, I blame my fingertip coordination. Who doesn't like a bit of fingertip coordination first thing in the morning? Autocorrect, lol. Coach Turner, also, bon dia todos. She finished terza. Lots of rain yesterday in Blighty, but fine today. Get a bit rainy here. Put me washing out. Got rained on, although I don't wash it again. I like it rain conditioned and then dried for a second time. Though feeling chilly after our travels, have a great day. Oh, cheers, coach. And yeah, there's John's website. I'll bring him on in just a moment. And finally from Jackie, nobody wants to help choose the the response on YouTube. Yeah. Who cares? Quinoa EA, it's Defo the thingy that's playing up, not me, Defo. I think, Jackie, it sounds like it might be you playing up, actually, to be fair. It's Amazon's fault. Jackie, I think, have you had all your shredded wheat this morning? Maybe another cup of tea for you. Nice big round of applause then for John Wood, everybody. Let's take that off the screen so we can see him properly. Hi, John.
How are you this morning?
I'm chipper, as you may have heard so far this morning.
I've been listening.
Yes, and it seems like only 12 hours since we saw each other.
Probably less than 12 hours.
Thanks for joining us last night with
no problem.
Tudubang Austin. You were talking last night a lot about the great affordable housing project that we'd be delighted to help with in some small way if we can. And we didn't get much of a chance to talk about your remodeling and renovation. Your daily work, right? To keep the lights on, to keep the bills paid. So let's find out more about you and that this morning. Welcome to the show. You'll be a regular talking about building here in Portugal. How did you get to be here in the first place? What made you choose Portugal, if we may start there?
So during COVID, obviously, we decided that we did not want to be in the United States anymore. We wanted to find something different, get a more worldly view for our children, and experience life, a different life. And so we found a visa that we qualified for and relocated here to Portugal.
Nice.
Probably the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Woohoo! Very good.
Even with all of the challenges, the bureaucracy, the day-to-day, issues, it's amazing waking up here every day, looking up, seeing a castle, and just realizing that, life's changed.
John, that does not narrow it down a bit on your location. Waking up and seeing a castle you can do in many locations.
That's very true. No, we are based here in Leiria.
Leiria, fantastic. So, yeah, a great city. I think most known to us through the doc. You're a friend of the doc, so please, when you next see him, send him our love. He used to be on this show a lot more often, but he's a busy fella doing all sorts of things. But that's how we got to know you through the doc. And it sounds like you're a convert, big supporter of the amazing city that is Leiria.
I am. This is the city that I first visited and the city that instantly won me over. Like I said, when I first arrived, I flew into Lisbon, took a bus up here, beautiful countryside, saw all of the Silver Coast on the way up. And as soon as I got off the bus in the bus station, walked outside, it just felt like home. It
I
has
know what you
that
mean.
it has that small town but yet bigger city vibe, and it's just an amazing place. I love it.
That's a good call, isn't it? If you do need the bigger city vibe, Lily is good, but you can walk along the river, you can
Oh
get
yeah.
out down the edges of town are very nice, and it's not long when you're driving out of town that you feel like you're in complete rurality. It's a good mix, isn't it? A good
You literally leave town and it just turns into rural farmland within 2 or
Yeah.
3 minutes.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's just beautiful.
Yeah, great how that can happen. And even bumping into the dock didn't put you off. So
No, I actually met Andy probably the third day I was here, and we
Yeah.
became instant friends, and I love that guy.
Yeah, I can't remember how. I think he might have been a bit outspoken. Unlike him, I know, but he might have been a bit outspoken on social media. And I thought, hey, hold on a minute, let's get this bloke on the show. And the rest was history, and we'll see him again soon, I'm sure. So yeah, shout out to Leria and all its wonderful charms. There's an IMA office there, of course, in one of the most
There is.
beautiful settings. It's almost quite fitting, isn't it, that you have to penetrate the castle to get seen by IMA these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I've honestly never been to that IMA location. As most immigrants will find out, your your AMA meeting will be basically wherever they decide. Mine was in Viana do Castelo.
Of course,
at the very farthest northern part of Portugal, almost to Spain. That was where my meeting was. Other meetings were in Aveiro, and outside of Viseu was the most recent one. So it's basically wherever they schedule you at.
Yes, it's extraordinary, isn't it? Like, there's an IMA in my town, and you're asking me to go to Vienna to Kitchen. Yes, this way it will stimulate the economy.
Exactly. Exactly. Provide you a clear vision of the entire country while you're trying to do your meetings. So
Yes. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it.
yeah.
We're getting a little bit. Well, I'm getting a bit of stick. We've seen something corrected to quinoa in the chat. Always good fun. And already we've got Mel wishing that you lived a bit closer. You're not that far away, I don't think. Wish you were a bit closer to me, John. So many struggles with renovations here. We'll get talking about renovations in just a moment. And Jackie, don't worry, says Mel. It seems it is happening lots today with typos. Look at the title of this live stream. We have a bright future. Have you not heard of Furtures, Mel? This is an upgrade on the future. I'll sort that out discreetly in the background. Morning to you, Chris. Yes, so shoddy typos, poorly put together live streams. Unlike your approach to building, John, did you start your building company because you had a little bit of difficulty engaging with? I mean, there are decent craftspeople here, but they're fully booked, are they not? And the one who could start tomorrow, you're wondering, is he the right guy if he can start tomorrow and wants a big pile of cash immediately on arrival?
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing. The reason we started this company was just the story after story I heard from, especially expats, but Portuguese alike.
Yeah.
There is a serious deficiency in qualified builders. They are, like you said, the good ones are very busy, and there are some extremely talented craftsmen here.
Yeah, for sure.
The problem is there's not enough of them. Through the generations, a lot of them have relocated looking for work up north. To change their life, to not return to Portugal. And so you are dealing with a mixed bag of older craftsmen who are very skilled, middle-aged craftsmen that might have returned back to Portugal, and then the newer construction workers that are just starting out at the schools.
Yes.
So we identified a need very quickly for just a reliable approach to it. Somebody who will actually provide an estimate within a day or two, somebody who will actually return your calls, somebody who will not instantly ask for a deposit and then run off and you can't find them. I've heard that story multiple times, and it's not, a lot of times it's not out of malice, it's out of being overworked and overbooking themselves. And while that's a good problem to have most days, if you can't service your clients, there's really no way you're going to survive. And a lot of those guys end up going out of business.
Yep, sadly so. And you have a construction background from your native US and Texas, I think, was your most recent jumping off point. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was in the construction industry. I started in construction when I was 16,
Did
still in
you?
high school.
Right.
Working summers and weekends, landscaping, building swimming pools. That kind of got me into tile and stonework.
Cool.
Did that for many years, all around the U.S. And then we ended up in Texas. And I owned a small remodeling company in Austin for a few years before the '08 crash. And then after that, I moved into management. I moved into being a construction superintendent and a lead construction superintendent for a developer in South Texas, as well as a insurance restoration company. So
Amazing.
I've basically had every single experience in the construction industry over 28 years, probably.
Oh, fantastic. And a lovely resonance. If you worked with tiles early on in your career, you may like the fact that you live in the home of Azulejo, right? Here in
Oh my
Portugal.
goodness. That's probably one of the greatest parts of living here. I'm strange. I walk through places like Caldish. One of the most beautiful cities, in my opinion. A little bit showing its age at this point, but I will walk through the streets and touch the tile
Yeah.
because the tile that's there has such depth, such presence, and it's just not crafted anymore. Those were old world craftsmen making these and installing them.
Is
Kind of my
that
pet.
the case? So there are people not making them in that way anymore.
There are some places up in Palm Ball.
Right.
I forget the name off the top of my head. There are some local ceramic producers in Caldish specifically, because that is a huge ceramics art, I guess more art ceramics based city.
Yes.
But yeah, a lot of the azulejos these days are either mass produced and they're not the same, or they're handmade and very expensive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a dying trade, especially also ladrillador, which is the term for a tile mason. That is actually a very lacking trade these days.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah.
Fascinating. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I was hastily looking through my photos to find some nice azulejo tiling because I see. I mean, I was in the Buddha Eden Park in Bomboral
Okay.
last weekend, and I saw, there are so many beautiful things to see. It's so visually stimulating. And then I saw some ancient, I think this is like hand painted azulejo tile.
Yep.
I like you, you get the sense of history just emanating from these beautiful creations, and just an access to the past. Unlike this is the only one I could find. That's Portugal and Star Wars mixed together in an azulejo hybrid at completely the wrong time of year. But anyway, we get the picture. How lovely for you as a fan of the tiling to come here. So, dealing with a social problem in a way, a lack of the good builders are busy. There's pressure in that situation. Lots of foreigners wanting to get the job done, used to different level of service, different styles of building and construction. And that's a nice sweet spot for you to enter into, isn't it, with Valwood? And is that what you're doing? Is that your game plan? Is that a kind of typical market for you?
Yeah, our market is English speaking expats.
Right.
We want to help the community grow. There is, as we discussed last night, there's a severe lack of housing.
Yeah.
Most of the housing people are buying are distressed properties these days, whether it's a 1970s flat in Luria or a vineyard in Viseu. Most everything is aged at this point. And once you get in and start looking at it, it's basically repairs upon repairs upon repairs, just trying to kick the problem down the road. So it seems like there is a lack of qualified people, just showing them what is possible and explaining to them the difficulties and timeline it takes, because this is not the US, this is not Britain, this is not any of those places. Everything takes time, and you kind of have to get into this more Portuguese style of mindset that instant gratification isn't a thing. It has to be done in a proper way, and it has to be done through the timeline that's given.
And in a way you probably have no knowledge of. So, even you'll know this better than me, but even in the best of circumstances, a renovation or building project has its plot twists and difficulties, doesn't it? So when you add to that the fact that you're in a foreign country and you've got a whole load of new curveballs, cultural curveballs to deal with, it's going to be stressful for people.
It is. And and initially everybody who moves here, just like I did, has a huge language barrier.
Yeah.
Portuguese is not a very easy language.
Yeah.
O meu português não é bom, mas estou a tentar. I try. Eu falo português com batata na boca. That's what I hear all the time. I speak Portuguese with a potato in my mouth. I try, but luckily in this industry, English in this area, English is getting to be a wider spoken language, and
Yes.
there's always ways to communicate.
Yeah.
Luckily, I partnered with a local businessman, my partner Luis, and he's very, very helpful when it comes to conversations that I just can't have.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Even after 2.5 years, my Portuguese is very basic. So there's struggles. There's struggles for homeowners finding Portuguese builders that speak English.
Yeah.
There's struggles for homeowners looking at materials. There's Leroy Merlin, there's a Brico Marché. But if you want to go to a true tile shop, a true tile distributor, you're likely not going to find somebody who's easily going to be able to help you. And it's frustrating.
Yeah. And that's where you arguably the real pros will be going to the trade shop. Where no muggles go, the Leroy crew, and then you find yourself in a truly Portuguese scenario, quite rightly, and for that purpose, you have your secret weapon, Luis Valentin here, as business partner, which is great.
I do.
Yeah,
he is a partner. He actually has another job, so more of a strategic partner.
Yes,
but somebody who believes in our vision. He was very quick to jump on board and say, as soon as we started talking about the issues I'd identified, he was on board. He wants to see the industry change. He wants to see everybody have a chance at a quality home, a quality remodel, at a quality price, not as most people will understand who's moved here. There is such a thing as being foreigner priced, and it happens a lot. It happens to me. I took my van to the shop the other day, and I know the initial quote I got was Portuguese price. Yeah. I will later today send Luis, and we will get the real price.
There's also the time when you think that's happening and it's not. I thought that was happening to me at a tire shop, and I thought the guy was thinking, I've got a foreigner here, I'll sell him 2 tires instead of 1. And I puffed my chest out and I said, 101, se faz favor. And he's like, okay, fine. And then I found out afterwards. I felt such an ass afterwards because it's the law. You have to replace both tires, apparently.
You do.
And
I found that out as well.
Yeah. And he's like, he had my back. And I thought he was trying to rip me off. I felt really bad about that.
And the thing is that doesn't happen every day. But there are points in time where you wonder that. And I've had conversations with expats before I started business, and they'd say, hey, I had somebody come over to give me a price for repainting the whole house. Is this what it should cost? And I look at it and I'm like, it might be a bit high, but if they show up and they do a good job, it might be worth it, Yeah.
The painters want 90% up front and you pay them the 10% on finish. That's those are some interesting T's and C's, aren't they?
There is some interesting ways that they handle the payment structure. Coming from America, coming from a place where we heavily deal in contracts, everything's written up to a T. Anything that changes throughout the job is written up, priced out correctly, has to be approved before done. Here it's not. Here it's a little more relaxed and a little more by the cuff, I guess. So it just depends. Our philosophy is that we're going to take an initial small deposit, have a larger deposit once materials drop, and then a final payment at the end.
Yeah,
that seemed to work in America, and it seems to be something people are used to.
Yes, we're getting some nice comments as a response to our conversation, and you've got invitations already. Welcome to the community. You will be a regular. Before you go, and I think probably we should have a bit of a crossover on the screen. I think Mel was giving a lot of thumbs up in the background. She might like to make your acquaintance before you disappeared, John. But could you briefly outline what your services are, sort of customers you're looking for, and I'll put on the screen how to get in touch with you as well.
Perfect. Yeah, well, we're looking for any project at this point. We'd like to get We'd like to get some customers from everything from paint, flooring and paint, windows and doors, kitchens and bathrooms. Full remodels right now, we're trying to line those out for later. We're still gearing up crews. We're still getting everything squared away. Those larger projects do take time, and they take a lot of extensive planning in the beginning.
Yeah.
So somebody looking at a dilapidated ruin, you're a long ways from getting started. So those customers I want to take the time with and actually go through every step, make sure that they're very much aware of what the process is going to be before we ever commit to doing one.
Manage the expectations. Yes, definitely.
Exactly.
Good.
I have a builder friend out in Tomar who has kind of been my guru, so to speak. And we've both discussed this at length. Every house you take apart, there's something different, as you were alluding to earlier. Yes. Every house, he specifically will not bid a full remodel until demo's complete. And I understand why.
That's very thorough, isn't it?
Yes,
because understandable too.
I would hate to tell somebody, yes, we're looking at an $80,000 remodel, couple bathrooms, kitchen, whatnot, and then open up all the walls and realize we're about 50,000 euros shy. Sure. So I do actually like his method on doing the full remodels. But back to your point, right now we're focusing on smaller remodels, painting, interior, exterior, pressure washing, basically anything you need in your new home.
Very good. Excellent stuff. Stay with us a few more minutes. We've got invitations. Also, I need to stop the show for a minute to share this piece of information. If you've ever wondered about moving to Portugal, just for a moment, and living the dream here, this is the sort of thing you can do. You can go to the market and buy some slippers. I mean, that symbolizes, epitomizes what's great, isn't it, about our lifestyles here? Yeah. Pete, just able to just go to a market and buy slippers. Living the dream there, Pete. Keep up the good work, mate. And you have an invitation. Oh, you have an affirmation from Jackie with you, John, on the tiles. Love them and love learning the mosaic tiling, which I'm hoping to do out there as well. And John, if one of your next IMA meetings brings you to the Castella Breakfast District, close to Lauriston to come, but then you are welcome to visit me in my ruin. So the first of many invitations, I think, to members of the Gumper community here. My builder waited 6 years for the stonemason that built our gate, and I can see exactly why. Worth waiting for.
They are.
History in the making there. For Chris, he's got some great builders down in the Algarve. One of them is my neighbour, and what I love about them more than anything else is that I have to book them in the calendar. For example, some of them I booked for 6 weeks, mid-January and to the end of February. Nice work. I do have a Portuguese toolkit also. I took a photo of this while I was up there at the Buddha Eden Garden. I don't know if this rings any bells for you here. I'm just saving it hastily now. We'll bring you on in just a moment, Mel. I think you want to meet John. But I was walking around. Do you think this is a typical Portuguese toolkit here that I'm about to bring to the screen? There's a bucket.
That is most definitely a typical Portuguese toolkit.
And with that, I
think it might be after lunch too, seeing the Sagres.
I think so, and it's amazing what they can achieve with those 1 to 5 items, right?
Yep.
This Portugal was built with similar kit to that. So there you go.
They are the kings of using everything and making it useful.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you all right for a few more minutes, John?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's give her a nice big round of applause and bring Mel onto the screen. He's a godsend, isn't he, Mel? We found someone who can do this building thing here in Portugal and might be available. Not for long though, I suspect. How are you, Mel?
I'm great, and I'm just laughing. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm sitting in my car because the builders are at my house right now. So hence why I'm laughing so hard at everything you're saying, because those buckets are in my house stacked up where they were meant to come yesterday. Yes. And they arrived, and they were meant to be here by 8 o'clock this morning, and they hadn't arrived when I left the house. So hear everything that you're saying. And it's hilarious. It's hilarious. John, I just wanted to say maybe a little in for the market, if you're not already doing it, is I bought and sold and renovated houses in Australia. I did about a dozen of them or so. So I'm pretty familiar with how things work. My dad was a builder. My ex-partner was a carpenter. And you come here and as you say, just nothing's the same. So I'm struggling. But, you take down a wall and discovered, in my case, I went to take down the wall and discovered it was held up by rocks. And so the rock is still there in the middle of my kitchen come dining area. And I'm now working out a way to put a table over the top of it so I can rest my feet on it and don't trip over it all the time. So it's a big rock, it's like 50 centimeters, 60 centimeters long and 30 centimeters high. And there's two against the wall that I'll put coffee tables over. So you have to get creative. But and exactly as you're saying, you don't want to be quoting up a job thinking you're just going to do this and then discover, oh, wow, the pipe's running through the middle of that. We weren't expecting that, and have to restructure everything. And I'm doing a super cheap build, a renovation, so which adds to the dilemma. And one of the things I've discovered when they put my kitchen bench in, which I'm about to replace, is they don't use, in Australia, I've never seen a kitchen bench with a metallic join in the middle of it. And so all the food gets caught in it. You can't put a breadboard on it because it wobbles over this plastic or metal join stuck in the middle of the bench. And I said, I want to replace the bench tops. What can we do instead of that? And I literally went to 4 Hardwares yesterday and spoke to several different builders, and they just went, that's how we do them. And I went, that's ridiculous. It's the most stupid, ugly system I've ever seen in my life.
Did you cause a scene, Mel? Did you cause a scene at Maxmat yesterday?
No, I was at Maxmat, but I didn't cause a scene. I'm just going, you're kidding me. And these metal ends on the ends of it, it's just so ugly. And I've never seen it before. So then it took me half an hour when I got home to go, what do we do in Australia? Because I've done heaps of benches and we've never done this before. We just joined them. And you can look at the joinery, the little, we used to call them little chips.
Biscuit joint, isn't it?
Biscuit joints. But also there's screw systems that you can put in underneath to bring the two pieces together. They don't do that here. And I'm like, it's not that hard. Like, why? So now I'm either looking for a 3-meter bench, but I can't find the colors that don't come in 3 meters. Or I'm going to go for the 2.4. And I'm going to sit with the carpenter and have a look at this video. I'll buy in the little parts because I had a look, they're like €8 for 10 of them online. And let's do this. You can experiment on my kitchen bench. But I think the point being from that very long story, John, is that there's some great technologies that we're probably used to from America, Australia, UK, or wherever. And Damp Guard are a great example of that, to go, why don't they do this here? And there's a great market opportunity to go, yeah, we can make your kitchen bench top look flat and nice.
And vice versa, I would say as well. There are things they do here that you don't find elsewhere, right? That might be a nice vernacular to incorporate. Have you thought about casting a polished concrete worktop there?
I was literally just going to say that.
I'm actually starting on Monday. We pray.
Oh, come on.
Is a micro cement floor going in.
Nice.
They're mixing already, Mel. You can have a polished concrete worktop.
Yeah, I didn't want that for the look of the place, and it's very expensive. I mean, I've got a teensy-weensy little house that I bought cheaply. So, I can buy a bench top for €100 and pop it in, and I'm going wood. So it doesn't fit. But I had looked at it. The micro cement floor is going to cost me an absolute mozza, far above the budget that I wanted to do.
A what? A mozza? Is that
a mozza? Sorry, that's an Australian term, obviously. A lot. Too much money.
Yeah.
I would have preferred which again, I've done many times in Australia, standard coloured concrete, buff it up and put a seal over it.
Yeah.
But everybody just looked blankly at me. And I've talked to probably 10 or more different builders about doing this. And then one of my neighbours, luckily I have a little town full of builders. And so what happens is when one says they can do it at the end of the month, I say, that's great. If I find someone first, if someone's around, I'll let you know. And then someone else rings and said, I've had a cancellation. Do you want me to come and do this? So that'd be great. And then I ring the other one and say, look, someone else is coming. Don't worry about it. Because I've been waiting. I waited 5 months for my gate on my veranda. And I need to have the guy turn up and then say, when I thought he was coming to install it, I just don't have time to do this job. I'm sorry. Here's the name of someone else to do it. And I had to start all over again with somebody else. It was just a plain rectangular gate. It wasn't anything.
This is exactly why John has started up, isn't it? These are the sort of things we're talking about, John, right?
I agree with one of the comments that ran across. You can actually get a marble counter surface for about the price of laminate in the UK and in America. The stone prices here are very reasonable.
Yeah.
Obviously, you said you want more of a wood look. The problem is you're going to have to find people that can work with that material. They have experience with stone. They have experience with bricks. They have experience with things with more permanence. They don't have a lot of experience with wood. They don't have a lot of experience with different materials that we take for granted in other countries, that we have that ease of building. So yeah, prices get expensive. Materials they use to join them together are not ideal.
It might be a bit risky. Yeah.
It's the way they know how to do it. You're basically hiring the guy for his know-how, first of all. What his know-how is, you're just going to have to find out.
Find it after they've done the job.
You can ask them. There is one thing. You can ask Portuguese builders. You can ask them for references. You can ask them for job photos, the same as we do in other countries.
Yeah.
You'll get a cell phone picture of a job from 30 feet away. But the good ones will have a portfolio. The good ones will have examples of work on their Facebook, on their, if they do have a website. But you just have to choose your contractors wisely.
Yeah. John, you've been very generous with your time this morning. Thanks very much. An excellent debut as well. And we'll see you again in this slot in the future. So thanks so much for being with us. And you can get in touch with John and Secret Weapon Luis Valentin at valwood.pt, which I'll put again into the comments. So hopefully, and again, isn't it amazing? We didn't get a chance to talk about the affordable housing project, but we'll get a chance to do that when you return to see us, and people can watch the replay of last night's show for that. So cheers, John. All the best. You have a great day on site or wherever you're pricing up jobs or whatever you're doing today.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me. It was great to see you again.
All right. Cheers, John. Take care. Have a good one. Bye for now. Well, he's a bit of a godsend, isn't he, that fella? Good to see you, Mel. We were going to talk about what's happening right now. I don't know if it was the right moment to try out the new Good Morning Portugal merch, a range of finely crafted tinfoil hats here. Aren't they beautiful? Cool. Isn't that great? This is what you can do if you've got a bit of time on your hands and you're not rebuilding or renovating your home. These are brilliant. Which would you favour?
Well, I'd tell you if I had my glasses on, but
they just look like tinfoil.
It'll look the same.
It will look the same. Okay. We might get to talking about. I mean, we distracted ourselves with some fantastic talk about building and engaging contractors there. And thank you for joining that bit of the conversation in quite an animated and exciting way, Mel. But it's obviously very present for you what's going on with your particular renovation. So maybe we will talk about the idea, because it's a great subject of moving to Portugal as a couple or as a single person. Very different scenarios, and we probably can't do it justice. But something came up yesterday when I couldn't stream to some platforms. I know in the UK they had the HMRC site down and a number of others. This is whilst the suggestion. I was going to call it a threat. Let's call it a suggestion of digital ID is in the air. Suddenly, millions of people couldn't get access to government websites yesterday, which doesn't bode well, and it spawned quite a few comedic videos. And then you were saying precious metal prices going through the roof. Some things happening. What do you think is happening, Mel? Can I put you on the spot?
Yeah, look. I think there's a range of things happening, and I probably take a slightly more spiritual bent on everything. That we're being thrown into chaos, to allow us to learn some stuff big time and change the world. I mean, you don't fix a problem going in with the same mindset that you created the problem with. So
Right.
we all have to dramatically change in order to make something different happen. And that's not going to happen, unfortunately, without some severe pain behind it. And I think I don't think there's anybody, whether you're a conspiracy theorist, a spiritual person, or just a pragmatic, more logic-based person, you can't deny that everything feels nuts this year. Like the news cycle goes in minutes. It's not even weeks and days. The latest big thing hits the airwaves and it's gone in half an hour.
That's
So
right.
there's just craziness going on, and it's ramping up, and there's many possible theories and explanations for it. But I think that I left Australia in 2017 because I looked at the economics and went, everything is being propped up. The housing pricing, they're printing money, they're doing all of this stuff. It's going to crash. Well, that was 8 years ago. The reverse has actually happened. Everything's gone up so much in value. But I still think it's because they're ramping up in a different way. We are seeing people who are, the reality is you don't even own your house anymore. It's a little bit less of an effect in Portugal. But when you're housing, we would call them in Australia rates, your IMI, your things like that. I don't know what you call them in the UK. The property taxes you pay to the government every year. When they're escalating up to a point where people who've paid off their house and on a pension can't afford to pay that, then they can take your house.
Yeah.
They're talking about cars where you have to pay subscription to be able to use certain services. Microsoft make you pay a subscription. People are saying there's washing machines and things where you have to pay a subscription to be able to use some of the functionality.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous. It means that nothing is able to be owned, and we can never have some ability to just go, we're sorted. We have our finances under control. We have a house. My mum always used to say, just make sure that you have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
Everything else you can sort out. And we don't have that security anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we are being pushed into changing things dramatically, excuse me, and also there's a massive uptick in the spiritual side of things and awareness of a whole host of stuff that we've never even looked at. And it's such a big thing. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the telepathy tapes. I think I've mentioned them to you now. There's huge amounts of spiritual channels, of astrology channels. There's psychic mediums online. There's so many things going on that there's this massive uptick in people going, maybe we have other skills and abilities. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's something under the pyramids. Maybe the pyramids were used as a communication channel. Maybe there is free energy. Maybe there is free electricity.
Do you mean to say they weren't just created to be a tourist site?
One possibly, I know they had forethought. And
Right.
how they got those huge blocks of things and the precision and just common sense, which it never occurred to me till 10, 15 years ago. And now you just look at it and go, gosh, we're dumb. You look at the intricacies in all of the churches and the buildings, the famous buildings and landmarks, in a time when they weren't using electrical tools and
Yeah,
machinery.
right. Yes.
But why did they spend that much time on that building? Like, what, I know we like to make things pretty, and I can understand if, say, it's a palace or someone's house, but public buildings, why did they spend that much time and energy? And now you look at it and there's a lot of discussion that the windows in churches bring in a certain level of energy, the frequency, the way that churches are designed when you play music in there. We know that music sounds different in a church. If you sing a hymn in a church or there's an organ in a church, it has different acoustics. They're saying that there's the bells are used for specific frequency of healing. They're talking about healing frequencies that you find in church buildings. That the steeples are potentially were used as communication devices with other churches, so you could send messages backwards and forwards. There's all this sort of stuff, and I think we're being distracted from it. I think
You
that's
could say that. You could quite easily come to that conclusion, couldn't you? Like, you know, the Burqa news story I find is a really good example of that. Absolute lightning rod of a story that was processed very quickly, although it still has to have the rubber stamp from the president, who needs to sort of saber rattle a bit about that from a constitutional point of view. But whilst it's an emotional and highly charged issue, it's not exactly world changing, is it? I don't imagine there are many women complaining about having to wear a burqa in Portugal in the grand scheme of things. But it's a front page domination. And compare and contrast that to Antonio F sharing with us. Do you remember when we were kids, for example? And sorry to start a sentence with when we were kids, or do you remember when this was all fields? But this sort of story, when we, like a few decades ago, when we were kids, small earthquake. That would have been on the breakfast news if it had happened overnight, wouldn't it? And it would still be on the news at lunchtime and maybe dinner time, if you're lucky, as it were. And people would be talking about that, and someone would be flown out there to ask people if they felt it and that sort of thing. This mention of a small earthquake in Terceira Island, Azores, will be gone, won't it? This will be replaced by some, red hot, polarizing, divisive news, which I think, as you're absolutely right, either is intentionally put there to distract us, or that's just happening anyway. That is the feverish part of the human mind that loves to feast on that sort of stuff, and meanwhile our deeper aspects and capabilities go unnoticed and unattended to.
And I don't think there's just one purpose. I think there's multiple. I mean, when you look at that particular issue, the one thing that I see, and I saw this happening during COVID, the government powers that be will bring in something to attack a minority over something that people applaud, knowing that the people will applaud it.
Yes.
So then they can apply it to us. And we can't say, you can't do that to us, because then we're being racist or discriminatory, because we're saying, well, you could do it to them, but you can't do it to us. And I look at this burqa issue, and don't get me wrong, I don't like burqas, and I don't like the way that comes out for the people in those countries. But as you say, it's hardly relevant here.
Right.
Then banning them here is not going to do anything to help women's causes in Australia. Do you think those people who are not, all it's going to mean is that women that have to wear burqas are going to have to stay home now, if there's any in Portugal. And do you think if they're getting abused and beaten or mistreated, it's going to stop them being mistreated at home?
No, there are already laws for that, aren't there? There are already laws for that.
There are already laws for that.
Yes.
And does that mean now, and I had to laugh because our mutual friend did a video on this yesterday, and I commented, so, he does videos with a balaclava on and a scarfy thing because it's cold, and so do I. You put something over here and then you put something over your hoodie on, and are you going to come down and tell me that I can't wear that now? Because what right do we have to tell someone what they can and can't wear, as long as they're not public nudity or something like that? So, if we've approved it for a burqa, if we've ever said it's okay just to ban this piece of clothing.
Yes.
Because that's all it is a piece of clothing. Nuns wear the same or similar, and we all run around in winter rugged up. So if it's okay for that, are they now going to be able to tell me what I can and can't wear walking down the street too? Or what?
I think you are, as we were 5 years ago, told to wear masks and cover your face up.
Yes. And that's still okay. You see people going into supermarkets still, or driving down the street by themselves with a mask on.
Yes.
So it's this hypocrisy, and I think you have the conditioning to, as long as it's not me, I will approve taking away the rights of someone else.
Yes.
And forgetting that can be pointed at me later when it's a government or a situation I don't want. But also I think it's this, as you say, the outrage and the division, and it creates more division because we have this argument over, well, how can you say that about this person and not about this person? And it's all this big distraction. It keeps off the news cycle, instead of us sitting here today talking about, hey, I was watching this telepathy tape, and did you see that these stories of these non-verbal autistic kids can communicate with each other, and they're doing scientific experiments? Did you know that in some parts of Europe they're running testing with or they run schools with children that are blindfolded, and they're doing their schoolwork blindfolded, and are able to sense things and know what's being written. And I personally know a child who went through that program. They moved to Portugal and it subsequently stopped, but as a young child did that program. There's people I personally know who've done all sorts of amazing things in this realm. And not only are we not talking about amongst ourselves, which I think is important, because then it gives some validity. If we only hear this, 20 years ago, I would have thought someone was an absolute Fruit Loop or a Byron Bay Nimbin love child, as we would say in Australia.
Yes,
but now I'm stunned when I'm talking to someone who's a lawyer, or there's actually a really impressive female, I think she's a lawyer or doctor, I think she's a doctor, who's suddenly out there talking about telepathy and healing of what she's doing openly on stuff, when only 6 months ago she was talking from I think it was a medical perspective.
Well,
so once you see these logic people doing it, then you go, maybe there is some validity. Maybe I need to look at what I can do.
Their jobs are being replaced by AI, Mel. That's why they're opening up to these other capabilities now. And thank goodness. It's a good argument for AI that those things that are way beneath us, with all the sort of logic and technicality that are better done by machines, that can make quick decisions of that kind, will free us up to our greater capacities. Jackie is saying people are searching for something. I think, to answer that question, what's happening, in many ways we are being urged, sometimes forced, to think how we're doing things, how things are done might not be the best way to do this. It's not working very well. And I think we see a lot of that happening around us. People are searching for something, and faith followers numbers are rising fast, as Jackie. I'm finding people want to learn traditional crafting again, to do something real, right? Do something with their hands. And just the miracles, the daily miracles of the sun coming up. Birds are getting ready to fly to Africa at the moment. We need bloody sat-nav to do something like that. These little creatures, tiny, vulnerable, beautiful, feathered little friends of ours, are making a lot of noise at the moment, poised ready to fly to Africa. No human being now is in a condition to do anything like that, are they? Because we've made ourselves so dependent on other systems, and ideas and thought forms and prejudices and stuff, etc., judgments. So thank you, Mel, for that conversation on that. It's taken us a little past 9 o'clock this morning, and we'll hopefully return to that conversation about moving as a couple or family and moving as a single person. There are a number of YouTube channels that focus on that, and it's always very interesting to hear what people have to say about that. I think it is quite challenging in many ways to move as a single person, and I'm sure you'll be able to share a little thing or morsel or two on that next time we see you. Another validation for John, great guy. Sorry I didn't mention this earlier, from our friends at Chumbaria. John is a great guy, honest and hardworking, recommended. A nice little testimonial for our new co-host resident, John Wood there of valwood.pt. Got a final thought for us, Mel, on this idea of what's happening in the world right now? Do you feel it coming to a sort of climax or ahead, or is that just a sort of a natural human expectation? It's like, watching the perimeter, thinking something's going to happen.
I think it's ramping up, and I have to say, I thought it was coming to a head in 2020, and we're still here. So I'm not the best person to ask, but it does seem to be going faster and faster and harder and harder. And I do see a lot of, exactly as Jackie said and you said, is that I hear that there's even young people now starting to go, we don't want to be on the phones all the time. We want to get back to dumb phones. I certainly am very fortunate to be in a very small town where half the time I'm just, when I hear all this fight and hatred over burgers or whatever, I'm just chatting with the neighbours, and I'm just being loved and cared for in my area. And someone knocked on my door and gave me cauliflower last night. And
beautiful.
And I think that's making, I maybe it's just because I'm in my own little happy bubble, but I'm thinking that people are starting to step back and just going, hang on, this is not right. We need to get back to human connection and do some stuff. While there is also a parallel race on for AI and everything else, which I'm not a fan of, as you know. So there seems to be a parallel race going on. in both
Let them
directions.
have it. Let them have it. I say, the people. We all got to do what we've got to do, right? But we don't have to be part of all these other sort of concurrent agendas. What was interesting about what you just said is maybe I'm in my own happy little bubble, as though that were a criticism in a way. I mean, what would a world be like if everybody was in their own happy little bubble? It would be terrible, wouldn't it? All those selfish people being happy and just minding their own business and doing their own thing. Disgusting behavior.
And just quickly, I mean, that's a key thing, isn't it, compared to 50 years ago?
Right.
I was raised in a town kind of similar, part of it to where I am now, and we didn't know what happened in the next town. You watched the 6 o'clock news if you were lucky for half an hour. There was no other news on.
Yeah.
And let alone, I couldn't even tell you who was the president of another country when I was
Yeah.
growing up. Like, it just didn't matter. Now every day we get a rundown, blow-by-blow description of everything Trump says. Who cares?
Yeah, go
You know,
stick it.
so I think that we're overwhelmed with too much information about too much of the world.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and you're shamed in a way, aren't you? Not, you're like a sort of digital peasant if you're not if you haven't been told which people to like and dislike. You're somehow an ignoramus. When perhaps the opposite is true. If you are
Well,
able to be manipulated constantly by other people's editorials and opinions, maybe that's a shortcoming.
the other side of it is I think you attract around you what you're looking for, because people don't even raise these discussions with me
Mm,
potentially outside of this forum. In my day-to-day life, the people that I interact with in my local cafes, and there is a little bit of language barrier, but we're talking about our houses, our children, our kids, the grandkids, the coffee, the food, the prices locally, what we're doing.
beautiful.
I don't have a discussion. No one in my town would know whether I liked Trump, didn't like Trump, didn't what party. Nothing. They want to know about koalas and kangaroos and spiders and sharks, and
Of course they do.
and
You're Steve Irwin's
and what's
representative in
happening on my
Portugal.
house. The crazy woman, and why are you running backwards and forwards with bottles of water? It just doesn't come up in the conversation. It
Yeah,
may
and if it
do in private homes that people, but the people who are around me that are interacting with me, I don't bring up the conversation. They don't bring up the conversation. It doesn't even come up. I'm talking about sitting in the cafe playing mahjong with people soon, and we just don't go there. It's great.
That's amazing, isn't it? And probably if you did, it might be a giggle and a laugh, but all these silly sods in far off places making themselves unhappy, right? So calma, tranquilo, this great way of life that you speak of. And sorry to drag you away from that for so long, but thank you for having this conversation. I think it's an important one to have from time to time. Have a great day, Mel, and good luck with your
Well,
workshops.
back to the house.
Good luck with the biscuit jointing. And we'll see you in due course. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, everybody, for watching today. Thanks to John, who made a stunning debut. Have a great day here, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need